Hello, good morning. I know it's early, but I have a pretty packed day ahead and I wanted to make some breakfast, so I just decided, hey, you know what? Let's make some breakfast, go live for a little bit, and carry on with our day. So if you're here, welcome. Hi, Kazakhstan. Today's actually pretty exciting. I get to talk to a group of students who are taking a class that I took when I was in college over 12 years ago. And I'm supposed to talk to them about digital storytelling, which is the name, I think, part of the name of the class. I think the class was called Writing Nature. But it involved digital storytelling, so a lot of rudimentary video making. And I didn't really think about this class until my professor reached out to me. And I was like, maybe I was planting seeds for what I'm doing now. Which just goes to show myself that even when I do things that don't seem to have a point, they sometimes will have a point. I just don't know it yet and I don't see it yet, but we can't see everything all at once. That would make us God. And that would probably make us very miserable because God can be violent. So, hi Australia. I'm so sorry you're about to have surgery, but let's hope it goes well. And do we want a bowling? Shall we do a bowling? I don't know if I have my bowls though. I think they're all in the wash. Whoops. I wonder if, oh, maybe mom's bowl can work. Wait, is this mom's bowl? Ooh, that's nice too. Let's give mom's bowl a try. Mom had a lot of metal bowls and I did not have room in my apartment to take on all of them, so I gave all of them away except for a huge one, which I still have, and this tiny one. So, deep breath in. That was very clarifying. They're installing Verizon Fios outside my door. So, that's what you're hearing, the chattering. June, if you can answer, in your experience, when did you decide to actually stop talking to a dear friend after some hardship or try to reconnect again after numerous arguments? The first, Finnick, 早上好. The first moment or instance that came to mind when I read that question was in high school. My closest and probably only friend was someone that I often wish I had never met. And I think after 2 years of friendship, I decided that I could not really continue to be such close friends with her because I felt like her various disordered eating habits were starting to sink into me and the way that I thought about my body and my world and my food intake and all of it. And so I confronted her and I said, hey, I think I'm gonna need some space, I'm gonna need some distance. And I kind of broke off the friendship for junior year. And I tried to reconcile with her in senior year, but I think the damage was done to that friendship. We kept in touch on and off after We graduated high school, and I think the year that I graduated from college, when I was in China, I remember our last correspondence took place, and we never wrote each other again. And I think at a certain point, I was relieved that we stopped writing each other and left each other's lives. I've always thought that that was the beginning of my eating disorder history, but after filming my last week-long food diary video and my last 2 therapy sessions and doing my own thinking between those sessions, I realized that the roots of my disordered eating happened probably before high school. But again, it's like all these things that you don't think will affect you or have an impact on your life in the moment that it's taking place. Just like my writing nature digital storytelling class. For good and for bad, they will come back to you because once you experience it, it becomes a part of you. So, we can pass on trauma, we can pass on good vibes, we can pass on all of ourselves, and we do, consciously and unconsciously. So, yes, it is important to keep in mind who you become friends with and who you surround yourself with, but sometimes we also can't see all of the story until after it's taken its hold on us. So I think what I've been learning and continue to learn is that we can't really control things, and therefore, while we may experience the feeling and emotion of regret, it is not our responsibility to keep ourselves clear of hurt and injury, because hurt and injury is just part of life. And what would benefit me the most is to learn how to recover from a fall and how to bounce back from an injury, which is why the first thing they often teach dancers is how to fall properly so that you minimize points of injury to the body. And with that being said, we're going to make breakfast. Ready? This is dumpling liquid that I cooked grandma's dumplings with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a little millet porridge, and I'm going to add some fish balls in there, some of our mirepoix that we made earlier this week, and I'm going to cook a little savory breakfast because I have been just eating snacks constantly, and I would like to make something that is more cohesive. Just for today, not forever. Interesting. How to cook with ingredients available in the Western world. Fascinating. Fascinating. This is millet. You're not responsible for my feelings or my reactions. You asked what you asked, and I chose to answer it, so no need for apologies. One thing that I've learned is that it is not helpful to take on so much blame or guilt because other people will react how they react, and we cannot control that either. One thing that I don't think my mom ever really mastered is the art of taking. And I'm not saying you should abuse other people or that you should ask for things all the time, but learning to take when others are offering is a huge part of existence. It is a dynamic of creating community when you are able to give and to take in balance. And it doesn't always have to be a balance. It can come back to you over the length of several years. For example, when I wasn't making anything more than minimum wage and I would go out to eat friends, some friends who were making more money than I was would offer to pay. And I would always feel a little bit indignified and like ashamed of myself for not pulling my weight when I went out with friends. But here's how I look at it now. They made more money. They felt generous enough to gift me that part of my meal. They felt good about doing that and offering that. And they had more money than I had. So it wasn't as much of a toll on them financially as it was for me. And now that I have more financial security, I can either choose to return that generosity or to pay it forward, you know? How long has that glass pot lasted you? I just bought this in December. So, we'll see. Last time I sprayed my fruits with this. It's basically baking soda with a little bit of water and salt, and it looks like plant-derived cleaning agents. So I don't know what the fuck is in that bottle. I didn't buy it, just to be clear. I don't buy shit like that, but I got it from the free table at my last job. So I'm just trying to use it up, and I want to repurpose that spray bottle. How did you feel the first time you went live on YouTube? I felt excited. The first time I technically went live on YouTube was for my Delish job. It was to make youtiao and congee on the Delish channel, and I did it with Aaron, and it was to promote the new quarterly magazine that included that recipe. I was very excited to be able to present to the audience a less edited version of myself, and oh yeah, I do like to curse, duh. That's why people give me such a hard time sometimes. They make comments about how I have such a cursey mouth. But it was the first time that I was like able to show who I was, I guess, in real time. And it was hilarious because water was essential to that recipe, and my building's water got cut off in the middle of that live, so Aaron had to run out and buy me bottled water to make that recipe. And then after that time, I thought, going live wasn't too hard. Let's do it on my personal channel and see what happens. And so the first time that we went live on my personal channel was me and Aaron making trash noodles out of the leftover youtiao dough. And I thought it was so fun. And I just continued doing it. And now here we are. Yeah, the youtiao and congee live would be on the Delish channel. I think, unless they deleted it for some reason. I'm not sure. So the millet went into the dumpling broth. I am going to cut up some scallions, okay, and we're going to use our mirepoix in here. Has it been difficult to see the way people were seeing you on Delish and the real you? I think it's been difficult for the people who expected me to be the same person throughout all these years across all these different channels and platforms and content types. It hasn't really been hard for me in that sense, but it has been hard reading some of the comments. They're just so critical, for sure. I mean, we all don't like to be criticized. I've gotten way better at it just by default of having this job, but it's been rough. We're gonna put in some peas for extra protein and fiber. And we're gonna use up some of these fish balls that if you saw the H Mart haul video, you'd know I got in December, so it's been 4 months. Figured it's time to start using them. Did your coworkers ever say anything about your lives and how candid they were? I I think some of them definitely watch it. I think only one of them have ever said anything to me about them, and he was very positive about it. But I'm sure a lot of them don't say anything to me about watching them, and they still do. And I'm sure, you know, people know about this channel and they'll check in and they'll watch stuff, but I don't know if they watch them consistently. And I'm sure some of them will develop some opinions about me, but it's fine. I think, if anything, it will erase the kind of piecemeal, half false perceptions they have of me already. So I'm not really afraid that they're watching it. If anything, I'm more glad that they are watching it so that they understand better who I am. Fish balls! Yes, they are amazing. I love fish balls. Okay. So yeah, I don't think this live will go longer than, I don't know, 40 minutes tops. But while we're here, happy to see all of you. Your friend in the latest Saturday video is very handsome. Daisuke? He's married and has a daughter. Sorry, not all of my friends are available, you guys. So I'm curious, for those of you who found me on this channel first and then saw my delish stuff, how was that transition of perception of me? Because I haven't quite heard it from that direction yet. That's a very reversed transition. June, regarding food waste, you're amazing with it. Any tips on that? I get excited and then a lot of food ends up in the trash. Buy less. If you know that you've been buying more than you can handle, buy less. That's all I have for you. My lack of food waste comes from my childhood and living with parents who were working class, went through the Cultural Revolution in China, and were very mindful about not wasting food. It's cultural. It's formative. So, you know. Here's our mirepoix. June was spicy from the get-go, even on Delish? As the cost of living increases, is there anywhere else in the U.S. you would think about living, or even outside of the U.S.? I can't drive. So New York City is my best option in the U.S. In a way, New York City is all I've known, so it would be very terrifying for me to go live elsewhere, but that is a life goal of mine, to live elsewhere sometime. I just don't know when it's gonna happen, especially with grandma under my care. We're gonna add some spices to this, obviously. I actually want to try using some of this. This is like LA paprika, I think. I'm not sure, but it is very red. I would love to go to Asia, but I don't think I can live in China. I'm pretty sure I would be very blacklisted in China automatically just because of my family history and my very outspoken stance about the Chinese government. I don't think it would be a very good idea for me. Guys, I've been thinking about making a red velvet cake without food coloring, and I think this paprika could be a very nice substitute, just looking at how it changes the color here. I'm curious what taste it attributes, or contributes, rather. For me, I saw your live stream first and then found out that's something called Delish and saw a very sweet person but also seemed to be placed in a box. I guess I didn't enjoy the Delish videos quite as much because it was more reserved than you are here. I subscribed after relating to your personal story here. Ah, okay, cool. My uncle is okay. The weather in Beijing is horrible. They've had no rain for like basically half a year now. Beets can be cool. They add a very earthy color, and their color is also not very bright in that red velvet way. And you also have to think about, are you using beet powder, which dries out the cake, or are you using real beets, which contributes moisture and, you know, density, or are you using beet juice? And I don't know how the color is going to work out. The transition from Delish to your real video was hard. You were in such a delicate state after your mom died. I didn't know what to think, really. Is a red velvet cake because it's red, or does it taste different, or just a regular vanilla cake? Red velvet cake actually has cocoa powder in it. So it's not quite chocolate cake, but it has a slight flavor. I found you through Delish. 2 different people, in my opinion. Wow. Yeah, that Paris Hilton reaction video was like not something I wanted to do, but sometimes when you work for a company, you can't always do what you want. And sometimes you have to do what you don't want. So that was a case of me doing what I didn't want to do. It was very awkward for me. I didn't know exactly how sarcastic I was supposed to be. Obviously, it was like parodying a parody without being too mean, which is a very fine line to walk. I'm trying to use up this chanterelle dried mushroom powder, so my uncle said that he had a windstorm last night, or yesterday, but I'm not sure. I am speaking to coworkers. We might be meeting up for Hot Pot in Flushing at the end of this month. Some of them are still talking to me, and some of them are definitely not. I would never blame anyone for my body and weight or still talk about her in the way that you do. It's just so cruel. That friend possibly did herself a huge favor by cutting off ties with you. Okay, sure. It's possible. Could I be the mean one? Of course. Although, I will just say this. I think mental health can be contagious. Can be an infectious disease. I think depression is contagious. If you hang around a depressed person long enough and you weren't depressed to begin with, I feel very much that mindset can begin to infect you. That's just my opinion. I'm not professing to be like a truth speaker or anything, but if that can happen with depression, I don't see why that can't happen with other mental illnesses under which eating disorders are classified. Eating disorders have a mental strain and a mental consequence and a mental component to it, but also physical as well, just like most mental illnesses. They are both physical and psychological, right? So, did you know kanji came from India? I didn't, but that makes sense. Like, khichdi is very much kanji. I found you through Delicious Well. I love your lives more. They are more real. I don't think it was different. I understood that you worked for a company and had to present yourself how they wanted. And you know what? I did present myself how I wanted in Budget Eats, but I also had a brain where I was like, well, I can't just be completely bonkers because it's still for a job. Found you through Delish. First video was you and Aaron eat what my partner cooks for the week. That was a fun video. Aaron was not paid for that video, by the way. So I think through the efforts of unionization, Hearst is starting to get their shit together about compensating people properly, but a lot of shit went down that was not okay and still isn't okay. They've just been served their 4th unfair labor practice suit. It's called a ULP, unfair labor practice suit. It's when an employer violates a labor law. Hearst has been served 4 of these since the inception of our union formation. Clearly, they are an employer who does not give a fuck. So, red. And slightly burnt. Can you see? I'm gonna add a little bit of spicy. I'm gonna add some, actually, no. I'm gonna add a little bit of Kashmiri chili as well as this Raza crushed red peppers. This one has silk chili flakes with habanero chili and sweet paprika and smoked paprika. This one is really delicious. If you are subscribed to the Burlap and Barrel newsletter, one just went out this morning and we wrote about 4 different chili pepper flakes and this was one of them. But just feel like adding a little bit of spice. And now I have enough food to hopefully last me until my afternoon meeting with the students. Red mush. It's a very weird color. Okay, cool. I'm gonna hang around for a couple more minutes and then I'm gonna go eat my food. Let's see what else you guys said. I don't have my computer out because I did not charge it. Is this rice mush? No, it is millet. Okay. Everyone has a mental illness. It's the thing to have some sort of disorder. I hope not, but yes, our society is definitely making us sick, and we like to label these feelings in terms of being an illness. So in a sort of way, mental illness is a reification, but it certainly does have physiological impacts, for sure. Why do you think Budget Eats was popular? I think it was approachable. I think a lot of people were dealing with limited income. I think a lot of people were quarantined at home and didn't want to go out shopping, and so they wanted to know how to make the most out of their food. And honestly, I was fucking entertaining. Okay, I had a personality on that show, and also people like to see me fail because it was very real in terms of like, I have no idea what I'm gonna make, but I have to make something, so let's do this. And then half the time it worked and half the time it didn't. And then I think it was very reassuring for them to see how I worked myself out of my mistakes or missteps or unideal results. And I think that might have been the most helpful part of the show, is when things are unideal in consequence, how do you try to revive that and revitalize that and turn it into something edible? Yeah, the paprika is coloring it intensely. Um, I don't remember how I found you, but it was on Delish and I was obsessed. You changed the way I cook and bake. Happy to follow you to the platform. It is peas, yes. How did the tapioca dumps come out? Grandma loves them, so no difference, I don't think. I didn't eat one yet, so I have no point of comparison, but I think they look the same. What made you decide to eat less meat? Because you have mentioned it before and wasn't sure what the reason was. I don't love the taste of meat. It obviously involves a lot of bad farming practices and animal cruelty and worker exploitation, so I just try to not eat meat until I'm eating out at a restaurant with friends and they're not vegetarian or vegan and we decide to order meat. I mean, sometimes I'll buy some liver and organ stuff, and I did just buy some chicken thighs, but I literally buy meat like maybe twice a year for myself. Most of the time it's for grandma. Oh, I didn't know India had a dish called congee. That's fun. Um, you saved me a lot of euros while helping the environment to not waste food. Grateful. I'm grateful for you too. Again, this is just the way that I grew up. Our like my mom and dad didn't waste any food, and they often bought things on discount because, I don't know, it was just cheaper, you know, and like every penny saved is a penny earned, that kind of mentality. So it was baked into how I grew up and how my brain was formed around thinking about relationships to money and to food and to making do. Like, a lot of my life has been, how do you make do? Which has been a very cool and useful coping mechanism, although I think carried to the extreme, making myself make do can be detrimental, because when you are still making do on the bare minimum when you don't have to, it just depends on whether or not you enjoy making do, you know? And sometimes I think I've turned off the switch in my brain of alerting myself, hey, this making do is actually making you miserable. And I don't realize until too late that, like, I actually don't feel good making do. I have put myself in a lot of situations where I've made do simply because I know how to and it was default, but I really shouldn't have, especially when it came to air fryer broccoli. That sounds delicious. Broccoli and hummus is great. But yeah, slowly working on that myself and trying to just figure out, hey, do you need to make do anymore? I don't know. I don't have plans of going live. I just go live when I want to. It's like a surprise. I'm live, and if you're down to watch it, then you're down to watch it. Okay, I'm gonna eat some of this so you know how it tastes, and I'm gonna hop off because I actually do have some work that I have to do, despite my fun employed, half employed, I have no idea what I'm doing employed status. It's a very like flaming hot Cheetos mush. I really am going to do a short live. I have a lot of work to do I really just wanted to put on this live so I can make myself some breakfast and check in and do my boldings. I mean, some Chinese people can be very wasteful. It just depends on your socioeconomic class and your cultural upbringing and your background and your family, you know, like the Fu'er Dai, the Nouveau Riche, the children of the Nouveau Riche. I mean, let's put on some of this condiment that Dan brought over. It's Burmese fried nuts and garlic and shallot and salt and MSG and all that good stuff. Oh, Guan Ar Dai, I've never heard of that. Is that like children of government officials who are used to being spoiled with the booties looted from the people by means of their parents' corruption? Fun. Highly recommend fried onion garlic toppings with nuts in them. Absolutely delicious. I think there's like a Mexican chili oil. I don't remember what it's called. Something salsa. That's basically like this combined with straight up chili crisp, where there's like peanuts and a lot of cool allium flavorings in there. Any culture that has a chili oil is a culture that I am down to eat the food of for life. But yes, let me cut into this fish ball. You probably can't even see it. It's white on the inside. Oh, it's kind of spicy. I did eat a lot of peppers here. Yeah, Nepo babies. That's basically the American version of the Chinese terms that we were just talking about. Bouncy umami fish balls. Love it. Okay guys, I have to run. I have work to prepare for my workshop thingy for college students, our future. I will be sure to fuck them up in the best way possible. You've seen a lot of channels use a Korean pepper. Gochugaru. 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 Bye!